Well, hello there, audience. Here I am with Thomas Wilson in this majestic backdrop of Pikes Peak and the Manitou Incline. It is just absolutely gorgeous out here. And we're here in this beautiful setting to tell you about this beautiful upcoming concert we have. The Organ Spectacular. It's on September 10th at 2:30, the beginning to our year. It's always so magical. And we have some pretty awesome pieces coming around this year.
I think so. Well, and this is season 34 for the chamber.
Yeah.
34! But this is a great way to launch it. We've been doing these concerts. We're exploring the repertoire of orchestra with organ.
Yep.
And so when you have an orchestra, it's already powerful enough, but you add an organ as well, and it is the loudest concert all year.
And this year, it's starting with the Respighi. So I started listening to this.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
It's the most beautiful. Like, I have chills thinking about it. It's so good. It is so good.
So this is like right around the turn of the century, like 1901, 1902, somewhere around there. And we know that Respighi, he did a lot of music, like sort of reorchestrating and revisioning ancient music. And the most famous is, of course, the three sets of ancient airs and dances. But this was his first exploration into early music, and this is very much like a Baroque suite. So a prelude, and then three dance forms for the movements, and it's really beautiful. And it sort of reminds me of one of the Bach suites in a way.
Yeah.
Eric Wicks is our organist for the Respighi.
Of course, because it has that Baroque flair, so you know Wicks is going to be all over it.
Absolutely. He's an expert in Baroque repertoire, so it's perfect.
I like that it has the Baroque concerto grosso aspect to it in that first movement, where it passes the themes. It's stunning, and I'm sad that I've missed this piece throughout so much of my life.
Yeah, it's an amazing piece, and it almost never gets played. It's overshadowed by the ancient airs and dances, and of course his big tone poems, which are wonderful, but also sometimes explore early music. So I'm so excited about finally doing this, and it's just strings and organ. So we're starting small
with just the right, all the perfect instruments, all the perfect instruments, all the perfect instruments. All the perfect instruments.
Well, and then I was going to say then it gets bigger, but it gets better.
You must be talking about Hanson.
Well, yes, we do add a harp for the Hanson, so that's something.
Exactly, another string to make it even more beautiful.
And for all the moderns out there, this is definitely a more modern piece.
Oh, yes.
It's not a run from the concert hall piece, but it's a little modern. And we're looking at he started, I think, in the 1920s. Something tells me 1926, and he didn't finish on this piece until early 1940s. So it took him a long time to figure out what form this piece should take. He originally started with it as an oratorio for orchestra.
Oh, really?
And chorus, and then he didn't like it, and he shelved it, and he decided that it made a better organ concerto, which is quite a leap. Just strings, organ, and harp. And Hanson, I think, more than any of the other romantic American composers, carried the romantic forward. He's definitely in that realm of what we would call neo-romantic. Joseph Galema, Dr. Joseph Galema from First United Methodist Church, is our organist for the Hanson. So it's already off to a good start.
Oh, yeah, and then we finish up with Deke Polifka.
Yes, Deke Polifka, our dear friend from Grace Episcopal Church. It's the Widor's Third Symphony for organ and orchestra, and there's so many of these great pieces for organ and orchestra out there, and they never get played. They used to be played more in Europe, where it's more common that they have big churches that can accommodate an orchestra, or they have concert halls with an organ already built in. And some of the concert halls in Europe are actually old churches that they just refashioned to make concert halls. So it's much easier to get away with that over there. And then as classical music and orchestral music began expanding into the U.S., we started building concert halls, but they didn't have organs. And most of our churches were too small to do these kinds of pieces. So it just didn't catch on here. So here we have First United Methodist Church with what is now the best maintained organ in the city. and it's got this big, beautiful sort of stage area where we can put a big orchestra.
Yes.
And so we're fielding a full orchestra, a big orchestra for the Widor, and it's an amazing piece in a lot of ways because it's I think it more like tells a story between the orchestra and the organ. It's like at the beginning of the symphony we're almost at odds with each other, and then as the piece moves along, we team up more and more until we get to this incredibly loud, incredibly big ending. And it's also worth mentioning, I think, that Widor fashioned this symphony after Saint-Saëns' Third Symphony, the most famous organ symphony.
Yes.
So the first two movements are twins conjoined; they hold together. The second two movements are also joined, just like Saint-Saëns did it. And there's a bunch of other similarities that makes it very clear that he sort of emulated the Saint-Saëns, which is probably the gold standard of organ symphonies.
Yeah.
This is 1894, so I think 1886 was the Saint-Saëns. I really think, though, that when you listen to it, it's like the structure, he's sort of emulating Saint-Saëns. The development, he sort of emulates Beethoven, I think.
Okay.
So listen to it for that.
I will. I'll have to kind of shift my focus.
And then, but in harmonic language, he's clearly in that very chromatic late romantic. So think Tchaikovsky, Francesca da Rimini, with all those chromatic lines. There are moments that are like it seems exactly right out of the Tchaikovsky, or even some of the really chromatic Wagner things. So it's very, very chromatic music, and then all of a sudden it slides into this incredibly tonal, glorious thing at the end. So it will, be careful at the concert. It may blow you back a few rows. It's so loud at the end, but that's what we go for. We go to be excited. So just be ready to have some fun.
Well, we really are in for such a treat with these three pieces and our three wonderful organists. This is one of my favorite things every year. I can't wait. I really can't wait to see all of you there. September 10th at 2:30, the First United Methodist Church. Come and hear this beautiful music with us that never gets to be played. It's going to be awesome.